Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
YouTube, what is good? Welcome to Philly Take with RB, home of the hottest sports takes, presented to you by yours truly, man. Hey, if you're new to the channel, smash that like button to help spread this content to amazing Philadelphia sports fans like yourselves. Hit that subscribe button to stay up to date and keep showing love. Now, I know we got a few days here in between the Sixers games. We have 2 days. Finally, a good break just to, kind of think about things and put things into perspective going forward. We got 2 tough games coming up, the Clippers and the Lakers. But today, I want to talk about a few things, and I want to start with something that we really haven't had the chance to talk about. And this is just from my opinion. Note the words, my opinion. So don't come crying in the comments because I said something you didn't like. This is just my opinion. I want to know your thoughts too. So let me know down below as well. But so far in this season, it's crazy to think the Sixers are 37-23 and that I am still upset with the performance. We have underperformed by a lot. I think a lot of us realize that by now. I want to talk about, in my terms, who deserves the blame this far and how much into the season. So we're going to start with the players, all right? I think the players deserve 15% of the blame, and here's why. The players have talent. They come out, they're paid millions of dollars. They're expected to show up each and every night. I have no problem if guys are not hitting shots. I have no problem if guys have a bad night here and there. But some of these guys are not performing up to their contracts, and most importantly to me, some of these guys, I'd say on half the nights we come out, mostly on the road, do not bring the energy needed to sustain a good ball team. These guys don't come out and try against the Cleveland Cavaliers, against the freaking Atlanta Hawks. I need to see more consistency and more energy, and they have to get up. But then again, they are within a system in which I believe most of them don't believe, and we'll get onto that. But I think the players, just getting them out of the way, deserve 15% of the blame so far this season. Next, the guy who we have not talked about on this channel much, and maybe I should have talked about him more, but I try not to get into it too much in the games, but that is Elton Brand, okay? Let me tell you guys something. This guy has been talked about a lot. He came in a few years ago. He's brought some big guys to Philadelphia like Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris. Okay, he's brought guys like that here. He's went out and made moves. Now, so first and foremost to say, I think Elton Brand deserves 25% of the blame for this season. And that is probably appearing very low to some of you out there, and I understand that. But hear me out, all right? Just listen to what I have to say. Elton Brand deserves 110% to be raked through the coals for not supplying this team with enough shooting, with enough depth. Okay, he came into this season expecting that these boys would step the hell up on defense, and that we wouldn't have to score 110 a game to win 115. He thought these boys would collaborate on one of the best projects ever designed, something that was so unique, with a league that was trending for years now towards the three-point shot and shooting from outer space. He thought, you know what? We would switch up kind of the idea of what has been going on, and we would create a force that no one could penetrate. Well, you know what? That failed, all right? But here's what I'm going to say. Elton Brand, like I said, deserves so much blame for not going out and getting shooters. I personally believe, and I said this during free agency, I know I wasn't doing the YouTube thing yet, but when we lost, first off, years ago, when we signed JJ Redick, what did the Sixers need? They needed shooting, and they needed a veteran presence. And what did they get with JJ Redick? Both of those and more. I loved JJ Redick while he was here. I absolutely loved the guy. He was just one guy you could count on, you know? But, you know, when free agency opened and I see JJ Redick go to the New Orleans Pelicans, it was like right away. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, what the hell happened? Elton had to have lowballed him, right? He had to have said, we can't afford you. We're going in a different direction, so sorry. But I thought he would have at least compensated to get someone else, a piece that could at least shoot a lick and could, you know, come off screen. I know Furkan has escalated this year, but nobody expected that. Elton came into this season just expecting we would dominate inside. I think that hurt the Sixers so much. For letting Jimmy Butler go, he also deserves a lot of blame. I don't know what happened. We don't know exactly right now, but I think that either the Sixers lowballed him or he wasn't happy with the system Brett Brown was running. Either way, Elton could not convince Jimmy to stay, and he deserves blame for that. But in terms of Tobias and Al's contracts, I think people have given Elton a little too much blame. And I know that's not the popular opinion, but that's how I feel. And here's why. When Elton paid the premium, and yes, a big premium for Tobias and Al, for Tobias, the reason he paid the premium for him is because Jimmy Butler had left. Jimmy Butler left, and he knew a team coming off one bounce away from going to the Eastern Conference Finals, if he had let Tobias go as well and really not had, you know, filled in that void, which we probably wouldn't have, the city of Philadelphia would have went nuts. Because who would we have been left with? Who? He needed to pay that premium to sign Tobias. We know he's not a max player, not really capable of playing up to that standard. But still, Tobias has to give more than what he has this season. We do not deny that. But in Al Horford's case, people are saying, yes, he's in a decline. You know, 109 million, absolutely insane. I mean, I agree. It was too much for Al Horford, right? 33 years old. But the way Brad Stevens made Al Horford look the last few seasons, Al Horford, every time, he's one of the main reasons why the Sixers despised playing Boston. He completely made Joel Embiid look like a fool. He helped Boston propel them over us every single time, especially 2 years ago in that playoff series. Al Horford was kind of fooled into looking like a stud. And Elton paid for that Al Horford. Now, I'm sure he didn't expect Brett Brown to completely utilize him so poorly. He knows that we needed an insurance package for Joel Embiid because he goes out so much. Maybe he thought Al would come off the bench. Maybe he thought he would start and, you know, just start a few minutes and mainly come off the bench. Who knows? But Al Horford, he deserves blame himself because I don't see the effort and the aggression from him. But I would not put as much blame on Elton because he paid for a dude. He knows that he had to make a move or else Philadelphia would be enraged. And he went out and got what he thought would be at least serviceable in Al Horford. And obviously looks like he's in a decline. It looks like a terrible contract. But at the time, I know a lot of us were happy because we thought this team would be a defensive prowess that hadn't been seen. I mean, Joe and Al together. I mean, all of it, man. I don't think he thought Al would be shooting 6 threes a game. Like, it's ridiculous, man. But that's just how I feel about it. And then the last guy, Brett Brown, deserves 60% of the blame. Obviously, for all the reasons that I religiously state. No energy, no enthusiasm, no motivation, can't get up for games, no adjustments, no accountability. Just a few things, man. Going back to the Al Horford point. This is like Brett Brown suppresses players and their abilities. I still think some of these guys are not as bad as what they seem to be. Al Horford, the last season with Boston, shot 54% from the field, and now he's shooting 44% this season with Philly. He took 203 three-point attempts last season, all of last season, and so far through 58 games has taken 235. Is that not enough for you? Okay, let's go to Glenn Robinson III. We could talk about Al. He's been here the whole year, right? Glenn Robinson III and Alec Burks came over a week and a half ago. Glenn Robinson III is already coming out to the media talking about how he is frustrated and how his role wasn't explained to him. As a head coach, don't you think that it would be smart if you get a guy who started the whole season? Maybe you don't have plans for him to start every game, but maybe wouldn't it be smart to at least talk to the guy? Glenn Robinson III was averaging 31.5 minutes with Golden State. He's now averaging 15.5 with the Sixers. Glenn Robinson III shot 40% from 3 with Golden State this season. Has shot 0, nada, with the Sixers. He was taking 3.5 threes per game with Golden State. He's taking just above 1 with the Sixers. He averaged 13 points a game with Golden State. He's averaging 5.7. 48 games this year with Golden State. Started all 48. With the Sixers, he's played 7 and has only started 3 and has not had his role explained to him. And he's already openly frustrated. How does that happen? A guy that comes from the worst team in the league to a playoff contender is more upset with the playoff contender. Explain that to me. Alec Burks was averaging 29 minutes a game with Golden State, was shooting 37.5% from 3 and averaging 16 points off the bench this season. With the Sixers, he's dropped 10 minutes a game to 19, is shooting 27% from 3, and is averaging 9 points a game. Everything has dropped. Here's my point. Brett Brown is 215 and 337 in his career with the Sixers. He was a good hire during the process days. No one really watching or hovering over this team like that. A guy coming from a winning system, a 4-time assistant NBA head coach champion. He was an assistant to Greg Pop. Who knows what he did? Honestly, he didn't learn that much. But it's more than... I don't think Brett has a lot of basketball knowledge. I think he was good to, kind of turn that point. But what guys do you really see that last through a terrible period like that and remain the coach throughout the good period? The last few seasons, in 2017, we won 52 games. We went on that miraculous run at the end of the season. Last season, we won 51 games. And right now, we're at 37. But let's think about it logically, right? Last season, we went 51 and 31. But think about who we had on this team. A starting 5 of Ben Simmons, J.J. Redick, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid. That team lost 31 games. I think sometimes we look at the win column, but we don't realize this guy underperformed. This team should have won 60 games last year. 2 years ago against Boston in the second round, if timeouts were called in the right spots, if guys were utilized correctly, if he had a freaking adjustment, just one for Ben Simmons, who was Rookie of the Year and got completely just dumbfounded, we'd be talking about things a little different. Al Horford, we saw that video. He rolled his eyes at Brett Brown the other day. I think he meant that. I think Al Horford is pissed off because he knows his value is declining. His window is closing to try to win a championship. And I don't think he expected nearly what is happening to him in Philly. You got guys that just come over that are frustrated. Joel Embiid hasn't really felt like himself this year. Ben Simmons still hasn't taken a more than 5 freaking 3-pointers. The guy can do everything. His window, like his prime, is about to start, and he can be like maybe the best player in the league. But no one has that oomph, that push, that drive. Because you know why? They don't believe in their coach. I thought this was funny. There's a guy on the Sixers sideline by the name of Joseph Blair. He's the assistant head coach of this team. I see him sometimes during timeouts or, just periodically throughout the game. This team, the guys on this team talk to Joseph Blair. Now, I looked him up a little bit for some research because I don't know who he is. He played in the league for a couple years, went overseas, and he's been an assistant coach with a couple teams. He was named a head coach for the first time last year with the G League, the Rockets G League team, and won the championship. I see him strolling down the sideline sometimes, and Brett's just sitting on his you-know-what over there. Maybe it's because Joseph Blair might have some insight. Maybe he tries to help the players. And isn't it crazy how there's times where you see these players and they're talking to the assistant coach. They're not even engaged to what Brett is saying. Haven't you noticed that on, say, pick a good team, right? Clippers, Doc Rivers, Nick Nurse from the Raptors, Budenholzer from the Bucks. Those guys are constantly just giving pointers to their players, whether it's during a free throw or during a timeout. I barely see these guys even talking with each other, let alone Brett Brown. There's like no communication. Like, the way I'm feeling is that they just have given up. They don't believe in the system that Brett produces or the offensive philosophy or whatever the heck they do at practice. Like, they must just not believe in Brett. During, maybe a post-game press conference or during a practice interview, haven't you ever seen where guys will say, we believed in what the coach is producing out there. We're just following coach's game plan. We're executing the game plan. I've never heard one Sixer this season talk that they were confident in Brett Brown's game plan or, just playing towards what they were trying to do that specific night. I have not heard that once. Have you? That speaks volumes because they do not believe in what they're being told to do. Their abilities, like I said, are being suppressed. They're not being optimized. Even if the Sixers do make the playoffs, I'm not confident in Brett. In the big-time situations, he's shown that he will choke, that he will not execute like he has to help this team win. You can be blinded by last year. I think if the Sixers had a better coach last year, we'd probably go and win the finals. So much talent being wasted. Brett deserves most of the blame. But, now we're stuck for the rest of the season. We have who we have. But Ben's out. And now Joe's out. Speaking of Joe, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about, and that's his injury. They said he didn't have any major damage. He'll be reevaluated in a week. That's great. He's still going to be a little sore, man. Who knows when he'll come back. He's going to miss these few games here on the road trip, and it's not going to go well for the Sixers. I'm hoping Embiid comes back, and hopefully some way when Ben gets reevaluated, he finds a way to come back. But things just are not looking good. They're not looking good at all. Maybe we'll go and hopefully we get home field in the first round so we don't get bounced. I hope we don't try to push him too quick and he re-aggravates his injury. We'll see what happens, but things are feeling like they're just dull right now. Sixers have a road trip coming up. 4 games on a road trip. Clippers, Lakers, Kings, Warriors. Who knows who's going to start in these games? Who's going to play? Clippers and Lakers, I'm already calling as losses. On the road, in those tough places, they're looking for revenge. They're ready to come at our necks. The Kings, who knows? Might go down to a thriller. This team hasn't shown me they can play on the road. 9-21 will not cut it. It's not good enough. Golden State, the worst team in the league. If they end up beating us at the end of a 4-game road stretch, and say we go 0-3 in the first 3 and the Warriors beat us, this team will absolutely be depleted if they're not already. I need to see adjustments. I need to see some creativity now, especially because our biggest guys are not in. You have to come up with something to ignite the fire. And I just don't see Brett as being that guy to do it. I think the Sixers will go 1-3 on this road stretch before they come home. I think their only win will be against Golden State. And that might not even be a great margin. But these next 3 games, how the guys will approach, what will occur, if Brett will switch anything up, just the tone. Like I say, set the tone. These next 3 games will really determine the state of this team and how the rest of the season is going to go. I know we're not more talented right now than these teams, but I need to see energy. I need to see guys hungry at least. Put up a fight. A lot will be told by these next few games. Let me know down below your thoughts on everything that I said and anything else you're thinking right now. Let me know what you're thinking about this matchup tomorrow. Just leave all your thoughts down below, man. I appreciate you for stopping by. Like the video, comment, and sub to the channel. And I appreciate all the love. And I'll catch you on the next one, man. Peace.
Perfect.